Daf Beis Amud Aleph, about 13 lines. Amud Beis, yes, Daf Beis Amud Beis. We're in the middle of this piece. I'm going to go back a little bit just to give some clarity here. The Mishnah told us when is the time when a person should start saying Shema, the evening Shema. It's from when the Kohanim go out to eat start to eat their Truma. Until when could you say Shema? There were three opinions. Till the end of the Ashmura Rishona, which was the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Then we had Til Chatzois, which was Chachamim. And then until the morning, which was Rabbi Gamliel. Now, the Gemara is going to ask a contradiction on that statement, or a partial contradiction. Says the Gemara, Amar Mar, from when the Kohanim go in to eat the Truma. We learned in a different Brisa, which is an unpublished Mishnah. From when is the time to say Shema in the evening? From when a poor person goes in to eat his bread, his supper, which is bread and salt. Until the time when he's about to get up from finishing his meal, which is very different than this benchmark of Kohanim eating Truma. Seifa, says the Gemara, the end of that Mishnah, definitely he's arguing with the Mishnah, because the end time of the evening Shema, or the end time of when a person normally lays down, the Veshach Becha time, is according to this Brisa from when a poor person finishes eating, which is a very short amount of time, because all he has is bread and salt. It's not a very long meal. Reisha, but the beginning of the Mishnah, do we have to say, or perhaps should we say, that it is an argument on the Mishnah? Light. The Gemara says no. A poor person starting to eat his meal, which Rashi told us is slightly earlier than most people, because he doesn't want to waste a candle, or he can't afford a candle to be able to see his food. So he eats a little bit earlier, like now at twilight time. And a Kohen going to eat, it's not a contradiction. That's actually what it means. A Kohen goes to eat. It's the same time. For like the Gemara, how could you tell me such a statement that a poor person eating his meal and a Kohen starting to eat Truma is the same time? We have a different brisa which proves exactly the opposite. When do you start saying Shema at night? From when poor people, from regular people, go in to eat their supper and their meal Friday night, which is a little bit earlier, as Rashi told us, because during the week, a person has to prepare the food. Friday night, you can't prepare most of your food on Shabbos. You have to cook it before. So it's slightly earlier you start eating. And that's what the Mishnah says is the time to know when you have to start saying Shema. That was the opinion of Rabbi. Chachamim argue and they say, from when the Kohanim are allowed to start eating their Truma. The same concept. If a Kohen was impure and he has to wait till it becomes Tahir again, what time of the day is that? It's from the evening. Similar not to eat the Truma. Once it gets dark outside, once the stars come out, the Kohen is allowed to eat. Yes, this is a continuation of the Brisa. And the next piece is also a continuation of the Brisa. Even though we don't have any proof that the end of the day means Tzeis HaKechavim, Zecher L'davar, there is a hint, a Zecher to this concept. Shenemar, because the Navi tells us, we're doing our work, or involved in our work. The Chetzem and half of them are holding spears. So you see the time to work is from the morning until the stars come out. And the Brisa continues and brings another pasuk, and he says, we're doing our work. I'm sorry, that the night is us for guarding. The day is for work. Why did the Brisa have to add that extra piece? The pasuk was enough. Correct. Yes. Now, before the Gemara is going to explain how this Brisa proves our point that a poor person and a Kohen are not the same time. When a poor person eats his meal, when a Kohen eats Truma, we have another question: why the Brisa had to bring us a second pasuk as a proof? Because in case you're going to come and say from when the sun sets, which is before the stars come out, that's the time of reading the evening Shema. And these people, They happen to be working much longer hours. They work long after it gets dark outside. They wait till the stars come out, but that's not the time. And in the morning, they get up much earlier than regular. Aleisa Shachar, really, it's Netzachama from the morning star. They're going from the first rays of the sun. They're coming even earlier, but they're workaholics. They like to start very early and end very late. But for most people, or the general concept of work would be when the sun sets. So then he says a second pasuk, or the additional pasuk, it's part of the same navi, that the night is the time for us. It doesn't matter how long you work. It's a standard that you work during the day, which is when the sun is up, and you guard at night. At this stage, I think that these two parameters, a poor person eating supper, Ubnei Adam, and a regular person eating Friday night, his Shabbos meal, which we said is slightly earlier because he has to prepare when it gets dark outside. Now, just to clarify, a regular person eating Friday night is a little bit earlier than Tzeisak Yechad, slightly earlier. The Amrit, and if you're going to tell me Oni v'chayin chad shi'urahu, that a poor person and a kohen are the same time, then Chachamim hainu Reb Meir. The opinion that Chachamim said that just a few lines up, from when the kohen started eating truma, and Reb Meir said from when regular people start eating their meal Friday night, it's the same time. So what's the argument? The Brachos lists them as two opinions, Meir and Chachamim. But now that we came around and we said that a poor person and the regular person eating is the same time, weekday versus Shabbos, so what's the argument between Chachamim and Meir? They're both talking about all three are the same time. So therefore you must say that Oni shi'ura l'chod v'kayin shi'ura l'chod. That a poor person has his own time and a kohen has his own time. That a kohen is slightly later than a poor person. So we end up having here what we thought was three, and it's really two different times of Shema. There is when it gets dark outside, but how do you view dark? Do you view dark when the sun sets? Do you view it when the stars come out? Is there another piece in the middle where it's like halfway, as we'll soon see? Says the loy. Oni v'kayin chad shi'urahu. Only a poor person, the time when he eats, and a kohen when he eats truma is the same shear, it's the same measurement, same time. But only, this is all from the beginning. Yeah, thank you. Clarify. This is when do we consider it nighttime? Till now we said a regular person eating Friday night is slightly earlier. A poor person eating is the same time as the kohen. So we say this is how it's going to work. The poor person and the regular person on Shabbos have different times when it's standard for them to eat. But an oni and a kohen is chad shi'ura. So the it's the opposite. A poor person and a kohen is the same time. A regular person Friday night and a kohen is different times. How could you tell me that a regular person, that a person and a kohen is the same? We have a different brisa. I think this is brisa number 4. When do you start saying Shema? From when it gets Shabbos on Friday evening. We know that Shabbos comes in. It's not says like a chavim yet. It's after Shkia. There's a couple minutes, as we'll learn. There's a few minutes after Shkia, but basically at sunset, that's when Shabbos starts, which is pretty clear. It doesn't matter. Poor people eat, regular people eat. The sun sets, it's Shabbos. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. It's important to keep track who these are because it's part of our proof. According to Rabbi Eliezer, it's when Shabbos starts. Rabbi Shua Eimer, it's not Shabbos. It's from when the Kohanim begin to from when the Kohanim are tahir to eat their truma, which we said a Kohen has to wait till it gets dark outside to eat truma. He does not have to wait until his carbon is brought, but as long as the sun set, he's fine. So it's a little bit later than that. Reb Meir says a new time. The kohen has to go to the mikvah before he eats, to the ritual bath. And he goes during the daytime. He has to go sometime after Shkia. The sun had already set. The stars are not out yet. He needs enough time to go to the mikvah so that he's finished immersing in the ritual bath before the stars actually come out. Rabbi Yehuda interjects and he says, 1 second. Koyanim have to be table while it's still day outside. And Chanina says, another opinion, that from when a poor person comes in to eat his bread with salt. So what do we have so far? Let's do the final opinion. Rabbi Achoi and other people say it's Rabbi Acha says, so you have here from a majority of people sit down to eat. So we have a bunch of different opinions, right? Is it from when Koyanim are? Is it from when people eat Friday night? Is it from when Shabbos starts? Is it from when Koyanim are tired to eat? Is it when Koyanim go to the mikvah? Is it a poor person? Huh? Right, but there's such a thought that maybe, in other words, there is such an opinion. He argued with him, but it's okay. Right. What?
We've made things worse now.
We have a question, yeah. If you eat amrit, here's the point. If you eat amrit, ani v'chayin chad shi'urahu, and if you're going to tell me that ani and chayin is actually the same time, Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Chanina, who said that it's from when a poor person goes to eat, and Rabbi Yeshua, who said that it's from the koyanim are tahir to eat, they're the same. And they can't be the same because they're two opinions. So after all these brachos back and forth and trying to explain what each one means, we come to a conclusion. And the Gemara says, Shema Mina, this is a good conclusion. Indeed, a kohen has its own time. We don't know which one's later yet, but a poor person has its own time when they eat from Truma.
So we still don't know when the time of free expires.
Correct. Hey minayu me'uchar. For the Gemara, which one is later? Is it a poor person or a kohen? They're different times. Which one's later? Mistabra, it seems, the svara is the ani me'uchar. The poor person is later. The amre, the ani muktam, because if you're going to tell me that the poor person's time is earlier, then Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Eliezer, then Rabbi Chanina will be the same thing as Rabbi Eliezer, who said that, where's Rabbi Eliezer here? That Rabbi Eliezer is the time when Shabbos starts, which is a little bit earlier. The ani me'uchar, that a poor person eats later, which is a big deal because we started off at the beginning of this Gemara saying that a poor person eats early because he doesn't have a candle, according to Rashi, and so on. And now we're saying that that's the latest time possible. So you have to say that a kohen, when they eat truma, it's much earlier. I saw somewhere, I forget where it was, that we trust koyanim to eat before ma'ariv in general, because since koyanim are zrizin, koyanim are very meticulous, careful. They're not going to forget to say Shema. Why can't you eat before davening? Because you're going to forget. So we can't say, I'll remember. But a kohen, we trust them. So the truma part, the whole idea of ben hashmashas is because it's unsure if it's actually dark or not. So maybe the kohen is earlier than the poor person because it's already, you know he's going to daven ma'ariv. You know he's going to make sure that it's dark outside. You don't have to wait so much extra time to make sure that it's really, really dark outside. But anyway, that's just a thought. Let's do some Rashis, or all the Rashis. Let's go back to the beginning of the Amud. What, Rashi? We did, no? We said. We just said it. Which ones are later? Mistabra the ani mu'uchar. The poor person is later. The amre the ani muktam. Because if you're going to tell me the poor person is earlier, then Chanina and Rabbi Eliezer, the opinion of a kohen, b'tuharim. So you have to say that a kohen is even earlier than that. In other words, the very, very beginning of Shkia. No, there's two opinions about people. There's one opinion about Ani. While it's still light outside. A kohen, maybe his seis is the beginning of tseis, like right after Shkia. It's still light outside. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard because it started off in one way, now it's complete. Right, so you have to say that a kohen is earlier than the Ani. Okay. I don't think we're making the ani later. I think we're just making the kohen even earlier than the ani.
In other words, we're not moving the other, we're moving the Kohen.
You and I are moving it. In other words, in our understanding of what it means, ani's later. The kohen was the tzeis of a. Tzeis. There's a what do you call it? A scale of what's one tzeis hakechavim is. Is it big stars? Is it small stars? So maybe there's a piece there that's a little bit earlier. The poor person doesn't need to have a candle yet. I could also tell you I don't have any source for this, but he can't afford a candle.
So are we saying the Kohen is even before that? We're not moving the.
Yes. Also, a poor person not lighting a candle, you could start while it's getting dark. You light your candle and you're finished. You're not going to wait too much longer to waste it. In other words, if you start mamish late at night, then your candle has to burn the whole time. You start, you could still see a little bit. The sun's still going down. You're preparing quickly. You have a candle for a drop of time. In other words, it could still be dark outside. Whatever. Just a thought. Fine. Let's do Rashi. The first narrow line, Mishehe'oni, she'ein le'nei l'hadlik b'sudah. So he has no candle to light in his sudah. Sefer vadai pliga masnisin. The kotani that we learned hacha ad shash emedi patem techa sudah. That we learned over here that till when is the time, according to this brisa, till the poor person is getting up to leave his meal. This is not like any of the opinions in our Mishnah when the end time of saying Shema is. The Darish, because we learn what does Ushach Becha mean? The beginning, of the time when we lay down to go to sleep. But Vasnisin Tanan, in the Mishnah we learned, I'd say Hashmura Rishena, till the end of the first Hashmura. Oni v'chayin, oni koli leis, of a poor person, all of his nights when he goes to eat, the kohen tame, and an impure tame, when it's night for him, lachal betruma, chad shiurahu, it's one share which is seis hakechavim. So we introduce another time, which is a regular person eating ba'arvei Shabbos, Friday nights. Mimarin l'suda shakol muchan, they're rushing home to the suda because everything's ready. Can't cook on Shabbos. So it's prepared before. We don't have a proof that the day actually ends by tzeis. We have a zecher from a pasuk which talks about work and so on. The machshaki, I would think maybe they're working later till it's really dark. And then the exception. They get up earlier before it's day outside. We say that the day does not start really till nets. And these people, they get up even earlier from the morning star. That's like going the amount of time of walking 5 million. It's a big difference between aleis and nets. So therefore we have the other pasuk of the Brisa brought from the fact that the Brisa stresses and says the day is a malacha. So the over means that's a full day, but not past that. There's a zecher that every time of work, Torah refers to as day. So if it's daytime, you work, and if you actually finish working by tzeis, that's the end of the day.
Are we accepting that it's a raya, even though we're saying it's not a raya? I don't get that.
No, it is a raya. The question is that the time to say Shema or not? We now know when day is.
So that's why we're not calling it a raya.
Bein Hashmashas is a gray area in reality and in halacha. Okay. Most people, meaning the same time as when poor people eat. Regular people on Friday nights. Poor people eating during the week and regular people on Shabbos, it's the same time as far as sunset is concerned. Bein Hashmashas is we're not sure if it's day or the night. The key when the Safaku, Kiddush Hayem Misafik. And because it's a Safik, we take on Shabbos right away. We take Shabbos in from Shkia, we don't take it out till after Tzeis because of that Safik. Stop here for Maidiv. No, it's really a Shaila to learn because of Meneira. You should get out of Maidiv. Shkoyach.